Nini Conallin is the social media manager for the ATC. A lover of racing and a passion for her job has seen her through some of her darkest days, surviving stage 4 cancer. Nini continues to be a source of inspiration to the racing community and those who share the same journey. Nini, it's great to sit down and have a chat with you. I've known you for quite some time and seen you around the races pretty much every Saturday. Tell us about where your love of horses started from.
I was one of those little horse-mad girls, I guess. You know, I always had Barbie, and the Barbies, I always had the Barbie ponies, and it's quite a funny story because when we had a Barbie pony, I called it Roxette, and years later down the track, when I got back into riding, I found a grey horse, matched the Barbie pony, and her name was Roxette, so it all kind of tied in. I was lucky enough to be given a pony when I was 9 through one of my mum's best friends, and so they leased it out to us. So there I was, toddling off on this little 12-hand Shetland pony, pony club, you name it, I was there before school, after school, mucking out boxes, and when we had to give him back, I was devastated. Mum said, well, save up, you can get your next pony, and it all started from there. So been riding ever since, and horses off the track. I had Campagna who won the Gosford Guineas, and he passed away last year at 30, but I've always been horse mad. Like, there's something, the smell of the horse, that it's just something so good for the soul. And even like riding, hopping on a horse and just forgetting the world, you know, you and your horse, and going for a big gallop, it's amazing.
Where did the link come in with racing, with the off-the-track horses? How did you know about racing when you were younger? Were you interested in it?
Well, interesting enough, we kept our horse up at Randwick, and so my grandfather had trotters, and he's from New Zealand, and he used to take me to the track here at Randwick, and we'd toddle off, and he'd put a, probably shouldn't gamble, but $1 bet on a horse that I liked, and then I'd ride from Randwick down to the Centennial Park past Betty Lane's house, and Betty and Tiger Holland were there, and Tiger would always shout out, "Are you giving that pony salt?" And we'd stop and have a chat, and we became good friends with them. And so even in year 6, everyone was doing projects, and there I was doing a project on horse racing. So it was that sort of that tie, and I guess it's the step from the equestrian, the horses and the sport into racing. So I've always been around, and ever since then, yeah, just loved it.
You haven't always worked in racing.
No.
Where were your previous careers?
Actually, I've had quite vast sort of jobs. I worked for the Premier Bob Carr. I was there for 10 years. I loved it. Amazing man. He was incredible. And then from there, I sort of was young and fun and went to Warner Music, hanging around rock stars and having all that sort of life. And then this job came up at Randwick as an EA, and I thought, well, it's back into racing. It's back with the horses. You know, what an opportunity. And I was very lucky to have scored that role, and I sort of stayed from the EA and then headed into marketing and ended up into social, which is where I am now. So back in the day, it was only like Facebook, just sort of pictures of guests and posts and stuff, but now digital's sort of evolved so much, and everything's on phones and cameras and live, and it's been great to be part of it. But a lot of people behind the scenes, when they'd write to us, would think I was a boy and say, "Hey mate, what about this or what about that?" And here I am, knowing my racing knowledge as a girl behind it all. So it's been a real achievement, actually. I've been really proud to have sort of led that, you know, from conception, I guess, the ATC's, well, AJC's social channels, from absolute conception to where they are now. I'm very proud of it.
And the ATC is at the forefront of digital, I feel, in New South Wales. I mean, they have a great Instagram. I love following them on Instagram. Their Twitter is really informative, and that's something that you've been part of to build the whole way through.
The conception, exactly. And you have your different channels. Twitter is very racing heavy, very racing industry knowledge, and that's sort of that channel. And Instagram, more of the lifestyle, the social, the beauty of the horse, the fashions, and you sort of have to, I guess, have your workload contributed across those channels. So you have to be varied. Like, I'm very racy, and all of a sudden I've got to talk a little bit about fashion, a little bit out of that side of it. But, you know, it's part of the job, and it's great. I'm learning all the time.
What's your views on people coming to the races? I've spoken to many people, and they say that they should come to the races to watch the horses, or they should come to the races for the fashion. But really, as long as they're enjoying our sport,
exactly,
it's important.
Exactly. I think the horses are the athletes. You know, you're coming to cheer on these amazing, beautiful thoroughbreds that are doing their job, and they're all out there to, it's the excitement, it's the build-up, the owners, the people cheering, it's the whole atmosphere, it's the day at the races. But the fashion's part of it. Dress up, enjoy your day, You get a chance to dress up with your girlfriends, don a hat, beautiful dress, really make the most of it and have the best day. Like that, I think that's what the race day is.
You are married to Murray.
Yes.
Did you meet him at the ATC?
Met him at work. Met him at work. They were doing. It was funny because I started upstairs in the office, and they were renovating. So we all sort of shoved downstairs, and the next thing we're sitting at a desk together. And like straight off the bat, we just got along so well. But we built it on friendship. We had a friendship first and foremost, and then we were doing lunches together. Then we were doing dinners together, and then it all happened. And yeah, thank you work. But yeah, thanks work for the renovation. Because here we are today, very happy.
Yeah, it must be nice to have someone who is also passionate about racing.
Yes, as he said when he first said to his mates, she loves a punt. She loves a punt. We're at the pub having a frothy and a punt. This is amazing.
You're match made in heaven.
Exactly.
When you started at the ATC, you were doing various different roles.
Yeah.
The social media has given you the opportunity to do something that's very dear to your heart.
Yes.
The rugging.
The rugging. But this is the thing, when I was diagnosed with the cancer, I had to stop riding because my bones were so brittle. And for someone that had been equestrian their whole entire life, it really hit home hard that I can't ride. It was one blow after another. It was, sorry, you have cancer. Sorry, it spreads. Sorry, you can't have kids. Sorry, you can't ride. It was just, when is this going to end? And it just so happened that one of the days the Barrier Boys used to do the rugging, and the sponsor was there, and they're like, we need someone to do the rugs. And I'm like, well, I'll do it. And that was 7 years ago. And to be out there, I just get such a kick. This horse is just one, whether it's whatever it may be, an outsider, a favourite. And there I am, up close and personal, throwing the rug on, always a sneaky pat. Still very professional. I just put the rug on and get out of there. But it's just to be up there and have this, this thing breathing on me, and it's just such a thrill. It means the world to me. It's just that tiny little win that I have. That's my moment. That's, throwing the rug on is just, that's me.
When you see these horses, because you've got so much admiration for them, just explain that feeling when you see them and they've tried really hard and they've been able to win.
It's exhilarating. Your whole body is just in this excitement. It's the passion behind the horse that gets it to the line. That's the passion in me as well.
You can see that by the way you talk. It's something that...
It's so special.
You can't put it in you, can you? It's something that's already there. And the people?
The people. But they're all walks of life in racing, aren't there? Like the owners, the flamboyant ones, the quiet ones, the jockeys. There's just, it's a story within itself, racing. There are so many characters, and the horses bring out all these characters as well. The horses are characters themselves. It's funny because you see the thrill of the owners that have just won and the disappointment in those that thought they'd won, and it's the theatre, I guess, you know.
That's how Gay Waterhouse explained to me the races was just like being at the theatre, and everyone plays their role.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I've known you for a long time, as I said at the start of this interview, and I have never seen you let cancer, your diagnosis, get in the way. You can turn up to the races with, losing your hair. Mm-hmm. You could be not feeling well. More recently, you had the operation around your shoulder area. Mm-hmm. And now recently you have your arm that's doubled in size, but you've never, ever let it get in your way.
No way. It was a blow, as I said, from diagnosis. Had no idea, didn't even know about metastatic cancer, and all of a sudden it was stage 4, and stage 4 they say is terminal, and it's ongoing, it's an ongoing battle, but I didn't want to let that affect me. I wanted to keep going. Cancer was just going to have to fit in with my life, and the horses give me that sort of spur to keep going. I love a race day, and as you said, coming to Randwick, going through chemo, having wigs on, and Randwick's such a windy place, I'd bring scarves to tie down my wigs in case they flew off. It's been tough, 8 years of constant pods, prokes, 4 surgeries, chemo, radiation, and the disappointment when tumours appear again, even in radiated areas, and it's like, God, this is just this, it's exhausting, and I'm starting to feel a pinch a little bit now after the recent, because I'm on a clinical trial, which is scary in itself, that they're like, well, if you get this option to do this clinical trial, go for it, which I have. But the immunotherapy, but my body hasn't coped with it too well. And it's starting to feel the pinch a little bit, because it's frightening, because this is the reality. This is cancer and this is what it does. But I didn't want to skip a beat. Like, I got out of bed on slipper day because I knew Winks was running, and I said, I'll just have a nap, and then I popped some extra painkillers, and I'm not missing this. I'm heading out there. So I just want to be part of it, and I don't want cancer to change that. I don't want it to step in the way. It's starting to a little bit, but give me up close and personal to those horses any day, and that gives me my lift, as Winks has done magically for me. Yeah.
On slipper day, I know you weren't feeling the best, and you came to the races and saw her win the George Rider. The atmosphere was electric.
Phenomenal.
How did that make you feel, that moment when you were able to get on course and you saw her win? And did you feel better?
So instant uplift. You just forget for a minute. You forget the situation. I forget that I was bedridden. I'd been bedridden for like 3 weeks before that, and you just forget, here I am. You listen to the crowd was roaring by the time she, the home turn. It was just electric, and to be part of that, that was in my element. That was my moment. Like, it was just, who cares about everything? Look at this. Look what we're part of. It was amazing to be part of that. And then Huey said those beautiful words, which really, people know that I'm not well, but you don't realise they know how not well I actually am. And then for Huey to do that shout out, I was like blubbering the car on the way home.
So many people out there that are just looking for something to just give them hope, and that's what this horse does. And our thoughts go out to Nini, who's been a stalwart worker here at the ATC, and we know she's been in ill health for some years, and she's doing it a little bit tough at the moment. And I'm sure this win today will just give her strength that she wouldn't have had without it.
It was really very, very special, and it was just, I guess I'm behind the scenes in a way. I do my job, as you said, get on with life, keep going, keep working. Yes, I'm struggling with cancer, but when someone acknowledges it like that publicly, it was...
And after winning a race,
winning the race,
he just got off, and that was one of the first things he said.
Oh no, it was like, just very touching. I'm very humbled by it. It was very special.
You've been so open about your battle as well. Has that helped you along the way?
I think so. I'm not one, not shy in coming forwards and telling people. Because there's a part of me that wants to tell people that there's hope as well. Like, if you're given this diagnosis, it doesn't have to be all doom and gloom. In a way, it's awful and it's crap and it's terrible, and you can't change it. So find your inspiration, find some hope, find something that makes you happy. Just keep going and just get through there's going to be some awful times. There's going to be some horrible times where you don't want to get out of bed and you think, this is it, this is awful, why me? But then you think, there's only one shot at life as well. Just keep going. So I guess I'm open about that, because I want to show people that I am still working with stage 4, and it's been really important to me to have reached that 8-year goal, because initially they said timeline roughly 5 to 8 years. But with advances in medicine and everything, great, I'm still here. But it was so important for me to reach that 8 years, which I've just done a few months ago. So I'm open about that, to say, hey, look, 8 years later, I'm still here. Yes, we're like chopped and bits and bobbed and everything else, but I'm open about it to give someone out there some hope. And the amount of people, there's messages people have been sending me from America, UK. My wife's been diagnosed. We've read your story. You're inspiring. And that's really touched me too, because I'm like, well, all the best. If you need to ask anything, if you want to just... if I can help in any way possible, if you can just see my point that you can keep going with things. And Liz, there's so many people worse off. There are so many people worse off. That's what keeps me going too. When we were early diagnosis, when we were in hospital, and one of the first in the waiting room and doing all this and doing all that, feeling sorry for myself. And they wheeled in this little girl going through the children's hospital, which is right next door. And, she's probably about 5. She had all the tubes, no hair. And I was like, she had cancer. And I was like, she's 5 years old. I've had a great life, not rich in not money terms, but experiences and fun and everything else. And here's this little 5-year-old with a battle against her who doesn't, and that hit home. So I always think there's so many people worse off. I'm just one person just battling away, and there's others worse off.
But you're an inspiration to many people within the industry and obviously outside of the racing industry as well, because your story has been well documented. How does that make you feel when you know that people look up to you, including myself, I must say?
As I said, it's overwhelming. It's humbling, but I'm not trying to be out there and shouting from the rooftops, hey, look at me, I'm still going. I'm just trying to just live. And it's nice I find it nice that people find it inspiring, but I'm just being me. I'm just doing what I have to do. And the industry's been amazing. The people coming out of the woodwork to send their little support, their little care packages. Everyone from like the Volandis and the ATC supporting me with work and letting me, even though I'm sort of at home and in bed going, I'm still working, I don't want to let it go. And they're like, okay, do what you want, but they've been very supportive. And people like the Cornishes at Torryburn, who named a mare after me for Nini. Unfortunately, she never made it to the track, but she's produced some crackers, and they gave me a little share in a horse that's running these days called Coterie. But that's that's their bit behind the scenes to support me. And then all of a sudden I get this care package from Hartnell, the Godolphin people, he's my favourite, my absolute favourite.
See, I have to ask you about that, because everyone thinks Winks is your favourite, but there's another horse in blue colours who has completely stolen your heart.
He's divine. He's my favourite boy. Winks is my favourite girl.
Very, very diplomatic.
Very diplomatic. I have this pipe dream of, this story of getting back into equestrian riding, and I'm like, Hartnell and I hitting the show ring. What a beautiful story.
It would be.
Yeah.
When did the famous Wink Selfie start?
Famous Wink Selfies. It was a bit of a thing because everyone was talking about selfies with celebrities and stuff. And as I said, Winks is a celebrity to me. And I think it was a barrier trial. I'm pretty sure it might have been Randwick or Rose Hill, one or the other. And she was walking around and Ormond was behind me, and I'd sort of put my phone up to take a photo and he'd stopped with her behind. So that was like the first one. And then there was another time at Rose Hill when they were saddling up and I was all rugged up, it was winter, and then they just started. Then it was just a thing now. It was just like my Winks. It's never been the whole hugging her and kissing her. It's just me with Winks in the background, and I've got quite a collection now. It's sort of, they've been happening for years, I think.
You do realise you've started a trend, because I saw Tommy Berry, Mick Kent Jr. and James Cummings all on Saturday getting Wink
selfies.
Incredible.
You've got to have the Wink selfies. You've got to have the Wink selfies. I'm going to make a copy book out of them, actually, and I said to Deb Capitas I'll give her a copy, but it's just, you've got to have the Wink selfies. It's been my thing, and it's funny because people are like, we're waiting for your Wink selfie, and whether it's track work 5 a.m, 6 a.m, that there's Nini with her Wink selfie. Yeah, what a ride she's given us.
What was watching her last run like? It was obviously full of emotion for everyone involved who's been around her whole career. Yeah. What was it like for you?
I'd never seen Randwick like it, though. I've never seen it, and I've been here 10 years. The stands were packed, the roar of the crowd. When she came out, it was this, everyone's here for this one horse. Everyone's here to see Winks. And the crowd roared when they jumped, and they roared when she came around the home turn, and just the cheers. And it was, what a thrill to be part of it. What a day. What an amazing day. The atmosphere was exhilarating. It was so exciting.
You've had a lot of media attention. Front page of the Daily Telegraph, Channel 7, News. I mean, it's been a lot. How have you coped with it all? It's a lot of focus on yourself.
A lot of focus, but as I said, I'm just me doing me. It's my little story. There's that nice little, I think people are looking for different stories with Wink, so that all of a sudden there's this different little element. I was diagnosed at 33. She was born that year. She was going for a 33rd win, so it was like this whole tie-in and that special bond. The day that my hand started to really not work, and I had to rug. And I went out there, and that she hates rugs with tassels. The owner said, oh, she hates the rugs with tassels. And here comes this rugs with tassels. And I'm like, oh, I was so determined to do it. Threw the rug over the top, and my fingers were starting to lock up, and I started getting that really anxious because everything has to be quick. You've got to do the rug, get the photo, get the horse. You know, it's all just got to be quick. And there I am struggling to do this rug up, and she stood there. She didn't move a muscle. She absolutely stood still while I was fiddling with this thing. She knew. And that moment, that was our bond. That was our little Winks and Nini thing, and I could have just hugged it then and there, but it was incredible. That was a moment.
You ventured into horse ownership. That must be nice.
Yes.
Because you've had that being having your own horse taken away from you, not being able to ride. Has it been nice to be interacting with them whenever you please? Sure
is. It's one of those things I've always wanted to do, and then being friends with Claire, and she's stepped up too, hasn't she? She's doing brilliantly and flying her own flag for the stable. And then this opportunity came to have a share in a horse with her. And I jumped at it because I thought, well, she's a wonderful horsewoman, and you know, and it's an affordable proposition for me at the time. And that's been amazing to be an owner, and he's won, and it's just like being there. It's like I'm finally part of the owner bit, like the other side of the fence, and it's just like, yeah. And she said, come to the stables, come for cuddles, and her horses are all well looked after, and just being part of that, just being able to rock up and give him a carrot, and just, this is my horse, I only own it in ear, but you know, Claire's been wonderful, and then Coteries come along and had a few runs in town, which has been thrilling. Second by a nostril at Rosehill. I thought I was going to faint. Just to be an owner, it's such a thrill. It's amazing. But I want to keep them all when they retire. I don't know how I'm going to do that, but
you're going to need to get a big stable,
big paddock.
It's really hard not to like Nini. You fall in love with her from the start. She's so supportive. I was new to Sydney, and she was a happy, familiar, warm, loving face every time I went to the races, and that's how it started. She's just a beautiful lady that adores horses and is just so great for our industry.
We know you've got an incredible partner, husband, Murray. How has his support been throughout this whole entire journey?
He's been my rock. He's been an absolute. I couldn't have got through without him, to be honest. When everything was happening in the beginning, to me it was in one ear and out the other. You've got this, you've got that, we need to do this, we need to do that. Murray was there absorbing it all, asking the questions, and I'd say, what did the doctor say about that? And he knew it all. He's been there the entire time, and you know, and he's rock solid. He keeps me solid as well. Like when I'm lying there going, oh my God, I'm so sick, and people say, how's Nini? He's like, oh, she's all right. He keeps it going. But I'm very, very lucky, and I think, you know, you draw a short straw with something, and then you get a good one the other side.
I've been waiting for you.
He's been amazing, and recently, because I've missed out on Championships Day 1 because I was at hospital, and he came up to the hospital with a fascinator and his black and white tie for our Derby Day, so we watched it. Just little things like that. He's been incredible, and it's really helped. As I said, I don't think I could have got through half of it. Everyone's been supportive, family, friends, but Murray's right there by my side, kissing me when I'm going off into surgeries, and opening my eyes is the first person I see. So yeah, I'm very lucky.
Give me a minute to hold my girl. Give me a minute to hold my girl.
I think when you put to the test, the type of test that we've had to go through for 8 years, it strengthens your relationship like nothing else. When you have to kiss her on the forehead as she gets wheeled into surgery, or see her off to another set of treatments or scans, and then you never know what the next phone call from a doctor's going to be when she goes through those scans. So I think when you put to the test like we have been for so long, it can only just strengthen what we've got.
I know it's uncomfortable sometimes with her when people say Nini's everyone's inspiration, but you must see that from the wider community. Everyone looks at her and says, wow, you're really inspiring.
As she said, just the amount of people who have just reached out to say, wow, what a terrific story, all the best with everything. It does, you get in that little bubble of where it's just the two of us, and you think that no one else, not that no one else cares, but she's never really had any outward signs of being ill, apart from losing her hair a couple of years ago. She's looked physically quite fine. When you see her and she's bright and bubbly and always has a smile on her face, sometimes you forget about the cancer battle that she's going. So I think to have a lot of people just reach out and send their best wishes and say that she's an inspiration is just remarkable, because to me she's just my little Nini, and we keep punching along. But to so many other people, they want to see. Sometimes like life can be awful and crappy, and to see someone make the best out of the situation that she's been handed is awesome to see.
You're both a remarkable couple, I must say.
Thanks, Liz.
For anyone who's watching this today and they're fighting their own personal battles, whether it be cancer or other personal issues, what would you say to them to give them a bit of inspiration?
To give some inspiration, just try and keep going, try and see the colour through the grey. You'll have your rock bottom days, but you have your good days, and embrace them, and look for things that make you happy, and sort of plan, I guess, try and find that hope, find that inspiration, and hang on to those things to keep you going. Like you can get through things. You can do it.
That's what you've done with racing.
That's what I've done with racing. That's kept me going.
Give me a minute to hold my girl.